we got a problem. Hey everybody, failed entrepreneur. I make crappy videos every day, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a single one. And today I got to talk about the politicalization of the coronavirus. Didn't take that long. It was only a matter of time, but it's quickly become apparent, I think, to most of us now that for whatever reason, the coronavirus has become another political football that both sides are kicking around at each other, which is sad but not surprising. I mean, who didn't see this coming, right? But if you're paying attention, the news now with corona isn't so much about flattening curves and death totals. It's about, opening up and ending this quarantine. But that's become a political issue now. There was a recent study that came out where some researchers looked at people's political viewpoints and to try and gauge what they thought about and what they believed about the coronavirus. For example, can you guess which group believed the death total was lower than being reported? Can you guess which group thought the death total was actually higher than what's being reported? I wonder who, right? Like I said, it was bound to happen, and we're in like a full-on, same thing, left versus red, conservative, liberal, blue-red political fight over something like coronavirus, which it's a virus. If there was anything that was apolitical and political neutral and that should maybe bring the country together, right? You would think it would be something like a virus. A virus isn't racist. A virus can't give stupid speeches. A virus can't be bribed by the Ukraine. I mean, it's the one thing that just infects everybody, equally, regardless of political affiliation. You would think that could bring people together, but no, it's just another thing to wedge us apart. And it's just, like I said, it's sad but not surprising. You see a lot of debate and friction now with protesters and people going out demanding that we open back up and that the quarantine should be ended and get back to life as normal, killing the economy, all that stuff. Mostly, I would say that, according to the study and the results they found, that those are probably more right-wing, Republican type people, voters. You see a lot of American flags out there. It kind of maybe looks like a mini Trump rally. I think some guys with guns stormed like the Capitol in Michigan or something, demanding that some kind of weak corona militia, I don't know, they're going to shoot the virus, that we should open back up. One of my friends on Facebook posted a video that claimed it was these protesters was just another example of white privilege, right? Trying to make it a political issue. I was like, I don't know if it's so much white privilege is American privilege to go out and to protest like this. I mean, what about all the feminine protesters and the science protesters, and what about all the marches and the rallies we've seen going on here in these last couple of years of Trump as president? Was that all white privilege too? It's American privilege to go out and protest, right? And those protesters kind of have a point. The quarantine is killing the economy. It's economic blitzkrieg, as I've mentioned before. The government has just as much right to keep you locked in your home as they do to go and invade your home. So they're not wrong, but it's just a hot topic issue now. Terrible store hot topic, because it's become a political divide. And why is that? Again, I'm not an expert, but I have theories, and that's why I'm on the video here. How do we get this way? Couple reasons, I think, right? Number one, I think it is just the disinformation, the conflicting information. There's so much confusing information about corona out there. And I've mentioned this in other videos off to my left, supposedly, where it's just nobody seems to know what's going on. Look at Trump and his administration in the White House. Trump has waffled many times. It's nothing. It's not a big deal. Oh, it's pretty serious. We've got to lock down. I'm going to get everybody. It's just, that's a little worrisome. That and some people said, well, you bought what you paid for, or it didn't. No surprise here. But the inconsistencies has been a little unnerving. But it's not just with Trump, right? You got a lot of people in the medical field, doctors, who can't seem to agree on what the hell is going on here. You got some doctors saying we got to flatten the curve, and the death toll could get into the hundreds of thousands if we're not careful, and super contagious and all this other stuff. But then you have other doctors like it's a hoax and the death total is being over-reported. Everyone who dies is dying of coronavirus right now, and medical staff is actually being sent home because the hospitals are empty. No one's going to them, or they're not in a corona-related field, so there's just no reason to have them anymore, or getting laid off. It's just like, what? Why can't this, again, should be something kind of, I don't want to say simple, but it should be pretty like black and white. And why can't the people who should know agree on what's going on and the best way to deal with it? So that's part one of the problem. It's just there's so much conflicting information out there. It's hard to see which narrative is correct. But number two, and I hate to be old man here, but I'm going to blame that social media, right? That information gets filtered through social media just like everything else, right? And you're going in those news stories and those headlines, they get shared, but they get filtered according to kind of your point of view, the narrative you want to believe. And then those stories bounce around in two separate echo chambers. So if you are on the left and all your friends, you're going to be bombarded with stories about the sky is falling, and every day it's a new record of people who are passing away or super contagious, and that's all you hear because you're only getting kind of one part of that bad information, right? And if you're on the right, you're just getting things about hoaxes and damage to the economy and less fatal than the flu, but that's all you're seeing. And so, like I said, there's no mixing. There's no way really, unless you're plugged in, well connected, or hey, maybe you're watching me right now, to kind of get maybe both points of view simultaneously, so you can decide what you think is true and you can make up your own mind after processing all the information that you can. But I don't think that happens a lot, and so people just tend to repeat what they hear because that's all that they know. But that just reinforces the two different sides, those two different narratives. I think the third thing is just it plays into the beliefs that we have already, right? This kind of, if you think about it, is a story, a condition tailor-made to fit into political bias, right? For example, if you're on the left, obviously you are supporting big government and government intervention and government aid and help in any way that you can, right? This is exactly what we've been saying. We need to get more money into medical fields and universal health care, and this is what we were telling you about, and government's going to be the one that bails us out, and government's going to help us with our Trump bucks and unemployment, and that's what we have it for. And thankfully it is there, and it has been helpful to try and keep the, because it could be very, very worse if the government wasn't around to keep us safe and to help out with things. Sometimes they get in the way, but anyway, I'd say probably more good than harm, but not great. However, again, if you're on the other side, then you tend to disbelieve what government says a little bit more. Government is the problem, not the solution, and you want government to get out of your way, right? And then I will decide for myself how much danger I put myself into, and I'm master of my fate, and don't take away my liberties, and don't take away my rights, which is kind of what they're doing now by forcing people to kind of shelter in place, and only essential workers could really be out on the road, and these states that have locked down really hard. And so, like I said, it's sad and maybe a little ironic, but this virus actually was kind of perfectly made to fit into the political bias landscape we have right now, because just the way it's played out and the way we reacted to it, it definitely fits that mold that we've been conditioned to believe and pick a side in for these last decade, more. It's not new, it's been going on for a while, but the corona, quarantining, economic shutdown, depression, healthcare, stimulate. It's a very political issue, and so I think it actually slots in. Once y'all stopped being scared, and we all got our toilet paper, and we were good, then we could get back to, well, how are we going to make political hay out of this? I also think, and I'll end up real quick, but I think that the media has a part to play in this as well. If it bleeds, it leads, right? And so the news is going to obviously push some more, I don't want to say negative stories, but maybe more pessimistic ones. And so doing that stokes people's fears a little bit more and makes it maybe more serious than it might be. We want to hear about car accidents, not kittens getting rescued from trees. Of course, if you tend to disbelieve everything the media says, you're just taking everything they say as outright lies and propaganda, which just, again, reinforces this is all a hoax from your point of view. I also say that I don't think they're that nefarious. I don't think there's anyone twisting their mustache at CNN, but I do think that maybe a side effect that they could live with is that this does kind of damage Trump a little bit. Definitely destroys economy, puts re-election definitely in jeopardy. And so if that just happens to be like a side effect of telling about how bad Corona is, I don't think you're going to see a lot of restraint from some news organizations. That's not the intent or purpose. That just happens to be kind of a little extra side effect, a little bonus, a little Corona bonus for you from these stories. So that's that. But again, like I said, when you add it all together, it's very political, it's very divisive, and it's unfortunate that, again, this is the condition that our country's in right now, that, again, something like apolitical as Corona, which it doesn't have a voting card, right? It's not registered for any party. Corona is just another thing that's kind of divided the nation when really it should have brought people back together, which is sad. But again, how can you be surprised? That's just the way things are these days. So hopefully we get through it. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you got through this. And hey, I got things to do today. I know you do too. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later.